Thank you for showing up. Great that you're here. It's like this is, if I look at it, it's a year program. You can't believe it. It's like we're actually heading into. Now we do the first part of a year program. Looks like almost like there's so many talks and so many things to look at. This is literally the whole curriculum, you could say, that is being exposed here. And that is the miracle mind. It's like the resurrected mind, the resurrected man, scripture from the resurrected man, giving us like direction and showing us every little aspect of, like, look at this, look at this, look at this. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Look at this. Isn't that great? Oh my God. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Stop behaving like a human being. Stop doing this. No, you don't have to do that. Listen, listen. Wow, look at this. Oh, okay, look at this. Isn't that unbelievable what is occurring? Like, this is a year program. I mean, with that, it's like, wow, it's so beautiful, so huge, so clear, so clean, so directed to you, to me. It's incredible. I love it. So I'm really happy that you join in this with me, and totally appreciate it when you're live here with me, actually going through this with me. No matter what occurs, don't matter what occurs, doesn't matter. So it's like all your say the possibility of the speed up here is incredible. The opportunities for speed up is unbelievable. And what I mean with that is, in fact, moving through your moving through your suffering state as a human being so quick by pointing directly, like, here, let go. No, that's not the way to look at it. Here it is. Here's vision for you. Boom. Like, look at this. Admitting continuously, you can admit everything that you discover as a new thing for yourself. Like, I had no idea. Oh yeah, I'm doing that. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm still holding on to that. I'm doing it this way. Oh, no wonder that I'm suffering. Or, this goes on and on and on. Here's the dilemma. Here's this. Here's that. Look at this. This is conflict. Here you step into conflict. Stop doing that. You don't have to do that. All right. Stop behaving like a human being. Stop relating like a human being. You can't. You step into conflict. No, you don't want to do that. Why not let your mind be at peace? So beautiful. So in all the possibilities to demonstrate that, to stand still and to just let that happen, to let that speak, and wait for you to feel like, I'm moved to do something. I'm moved to express myself here. I have to get this off my chest. I have to express this. I have to do this or I have to do that. Like, but you're moved from within. Exactly in the right time, something occurs because you have waited long enough for that to occur. Like, no, I was tempted to jump in and start responding and reacting, but no, no. I'm waiting. I'm just patiently waiting till I hear the voice say, instructing me, this is the time, this is the place. In whatever, whether being present, whether being not present, whether saying something or whether just being present, or who knows what, or being a listening ear, being present to listen and to say, love your brother, or to not respond, or to be clear that you can't respond as a human being anymore. You just can't do it anymore. You cannot relate to anyone in a human way anymore. That you can't do it. You can't do that anymore. It's like these things are coming up. They will appear because you are in a huge change. Yeah, like if you follow this curriculum program, if you let that flow through you, things start to change really quickly. And here it is like the bright reflections we're receiving from Master Teacher, from what is being said by Jesus, from what is being expressed here. It's like has an incredible healing potential, incredible healing power available for you to use, to let that change your situations, to let that change your patterns, to let that change you literally in a way that you actually discover who you are, not anything else. So all the confirmation that you get when you feel that that is occurring is only like a confirmation of peace, certainty, and peace of mind and certainty so deep that you cannot be anything else. That's how it feels. Like suddenly you can express yourself in a way. There's just no two ways about it. It is just this being the total expression of that in the moment. By allowing that, it's like not that you make up the message, but you literally expressing it. It comes through you by your by you being present there, being that instrument and letting that occur, having no resistance, no hesitation, but pure conviction and certainty that that's occurring. Now everyone has opportunities for fresh experiences in that. There are plenty of them, which is really great. So yeah, you can completely trust when you're moved to do something or to say something that you can follow up on that. Or when you're moved to wait and be patient, you wait and be patient until you feel something else going on. It's like you feel it, like the time is ready, this is my time. So you see the examples in the Bible, for instance, too, that Mary goes to Jesus on this wedding, when there's not enough wine, or there doesn't seem to be enough wine, or whatever the format is. But he says, my time has not yet come. It's like, no, this is not the right time. It's like if it would be the right time, I would be doing it. Now it's just not happening yet. So I have to be patient in that sense, or I have to trust what's going on. I have no part in you could say I have no part in the say direction of this, of the management of this moment. No, I'm letting this moment be complete. I seem to be surrounded by the same ideas. Like I'm finding myself in the middle of a wedding, and I'm finding myself in a place where people are drinking a lot, and who knows what happens. But I'm present in a different way. I'm just sitting here and being patient, and I totally listen to what my mother tells me, but I'm not going to respond to that at this point in terms of action because he tells me to do something. It's like, no, wait a minute. That is not anymore the case. Like I received this. I received this in the right time. And when I trust that, every step that follows then I bring, in fact, my healing consciousness. Like something is taking place that has everything to do with the healing that is possible in that moment. And that is what I carry with me. That's what I wait for. That's what is building up, you could say. Like the moment isn't ready yet. It is not born yet, this moment in which that can occur. So it's not up to me when that moment is. That is so great. Like it's not my concern. I don't have to think like, is it the right time to do this? No, that will come. Just be patient and let it build up if you want, if you want to use that term. So it is in fact just, I say, seeing the beautiful synchronicity of every aspect of creation. It's like you don't want to disturb that in your own dream and create a conflict. No, why would you? So in that sense, you don't relate as a human being anymore. You cannot do it that way anymore. You cannot listen to someone to do something just like that out of a habit to listen to someone. I'm like, no, you're not from here. It's literally going to be instructed. It's going to be given to you. And that's going to be so clear and so beautiful and so pure. Why not wait for that? Like you know the mechanisms and patterns that you have been living by, but now there's something else going on. And when I take time to listen to that, I'm actually moving past my fear associations, like as relationships, family relationships, patterns that you used to, even conscious or unconscious, like all of that. In fact, you leave behind when you open the door to actually listen to what is given you to do in the moment, just for your own healing, to see that that's given you and see how well that fits into everything with the purpose of healing of this, not any other investment, not any other delay or sidetrack or detour, however you want to call that. No, pure, here's a healing possibility. I'm entering into it because I've moved to do that. That's what's occurring now. That is what I do. That is what happens. Otherwise, I would not be doing that. I would wait and listen. So that's the practice, and that's being expressed in many ways, but it's beautiful to see it at work, and that is so perfect. All right, so today the miracle mind, we have mostly like 3 ingredients. One of them is the manual for teachers. Second is listening to master teacher, like a quarter of an hour tape. And then there's moving into one of the talks and say an aspect of that, where we actually look at the expressions that are given. Now today we're still in the miracle principles, so they will come up in the part where we're looking at those. And the manual for teachers, we went through the episodes of trust, the stages of trust, like period of relinquishment, period of unsettling period, like the total unsettling period, and period of accomplishment, or who knows, like we went through that. Now every other step that follows now is based on this trust, you could say. It's based on building the trust. So the next step can be, like, I think it is joy. Like the next step, joy, is based on an idea of trust and certainty. Like that, if that is there, then there's no conflict. Now, it's interesting to read this. We're going to do that in a moment. It's interesting to read that. When you read it, you might say like, yeah, maybe at times I experience that. Or maybe I would love to experience that this way. Am I still a teacher of God? You can ask that question. Like, well, what is given here by the manual for teachers is a description. This is a teacher of God. So do you need to be fully accomplished to be one? No. You can go through stages of learning, stages of building trust, absolutely. And it might change also. So here with joy and bringing that certainty, you could say, it is not so much about being happy. Oh no, actually we're going into honesty. That's what I remember now. It's like we're going into the idea of honesty. This is the next one after trust. First is honesty. Now honesty, you can say like, how does this relate to trust? Yeah, of course, yeah. Am I willing to share what I kept hidden for myself or for someone else? Am I willing to share that? That would be honesty. But here it is actually, say, expressed as a way of more like consistency. What is it that I say? What is it that I do? And what is it that I think? Is that all the same thing? Like, is that consistent? So that is, of course, what honesty is. If there is no conflict in that, in what I say, what I do, what I think, if there's no conflict in that, then my mind is at peace. Like if I try to do something else than what I actually think, then I have a conflict. Then I'm actually not honest because I skip a part, you know? So the doing, the thinking, and the saying, what I'm sharing, if that is one thing, it's consistent. Now that is honesty, letting that be consistent. Honesty. All other traits of God's teachers rest on trust. Once that has been achieved, the others cannot fail to follow. Like if trust is built, you have a fundament under all your doings and thinkings and sayings. Under the trusting, only the trusting can afford honesty, for they only can see its value. Honesty does not apply only to what you say. The term actually means consistency. There is nothing you say that contradicts what you think or do. No thought opposes any other thought. No act belies your word, and no word lacks agreement with another. Such are the truly honest. At no level are they in conflict with themselves. Therefore, it is impossible for them to be in conflict with anyone or anything. The peace of mind which the advanced teachers of God experience is largely due to their perfect honesty. It is only the wish to deceive that makes for war. No one at one with himself can even conceive of conflict. Conflict is the inevitable result of self-deception, and self-deception is dishonesty. There is no challenge to a teacher of God. Challenge implies doubt, and the trust on which God's teachers rest secure makes doubt impossible. Therefore they can only succeed. In this, as in all things, they are honest. They can only succeed because they never do their will alone. They choose for all mankind, for all the world and all things in it, for the unchanging and unchangeable beyond appearances, and for the Son of God and his Creator. How could they not succeed? They choose in perfect honesty, sure of their choice of themselves. They choose in perfect honesty, sure of their choice of themselves. Do I need to consider that if that's all working out? Like, well, don't be too concerned about it. It is a bit like, no, in your say development, you could say in your spiritual development, you go through these phases. For instance, with trust to start with, like there's enough work to do, you could say. So it's not to try to perform as a perfect teacher of God. No, you cannot hide anything in that sense. It is where you are, is where you are. You can say allow these changes to occur in you in the development of trust. And yeah, you're not going to run through that in one day, for instance, probably. Maybe it's possible, I don't know. But there's no pressure for you to do so. That's what I mean to say. It's like there's no pressure, and also it's like it's not too much your concern if you follow the program as it is being shared with you in the Course in Miracles, doing the lessons. You will say find all the aspects that is related to this to come to an actual honesty, a consistency in expression, thinking, and doing, and you see that there's no conflict in it. It becomes one thing. See, and in that point it becomes very easy. It becomes simpler, because in fact you keep your peace of mind. It is not that you lose it. And you say, like, well, how is that possible? See, you have to be honest with yourself in that sense too. It's like, if you trust your own ideas, you have a problem. If you think you need to behave a certain way in order to be this, then you're already sidetracked, because you're trying to manage yourself. So you could say this can only happen in freedom, in letting yourself be yourself, and aligning yourself with the truth that you are in like, yeah, listen, I wait, just like I said in the beginning. You wait, you be patient before you do anything. You know when you're moved to, then there's no stopping you. You just feel the flow through you to do that. Like, there's no, if you wait for that, there's no doubt in that action. But that is the only way to stay out of doubt. So is that happening in what you do? Great, then you achieve that. If that's not happening, well, you're on your way to actually coming to that. Great. Like, that's wonderful. Or maybe you never heard of even of this, like consistency, thinking, doing, and saying, that's a great idea. Well, let me take a look at it. Yeah, so that's a good start too. So suddenly you hear something that you didn't hear before. Wonderful. You know what I mean? It's like there's no pressure in that. No, the development of trust goes like this too. It's like that will naturally flow, because you can't stop the program from doing you could say. Like, you can't stop your undoing. You can delay it maybe, but you can't stop it, because it's a perfect plan at work, and it's working you. You're not doing that. So in order to learn to be consistent in your expression, in your thinking, and your doing, then it takes a moment to let that align, because it is for a human being very normal to say hello to your neighbor, and actually in the next moment blah 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 about your neighbor to your friend and stuff like this. Like, the schizophrenia of being human, you could say, is pretty obvious, and that needs to come together. So it's like you in this process, your mind becomes whole, as Master Teacher will tell us many times too. It's like your mind becomes whole. So it's also some kind of unification, you could say, of coming together of the opposites and allowing ideas to be whole and related to source instead of just ideas or habits. You know, so this is important. Anyway, so that's that part. And so this was honesty. And so now we're actually moving further to the listening to the tape now. So here's tape third part of the talk. I think that was another morning that it starts again, but I'm not sure. And also 1.5 hours, I cut it into 6 pieces, so we listened to 15 minutes of it.
Personal association that's being demanded of you. This association with Jesus the man become God. The association with your brother as a man becoming God with you. What a glorious undertaking. What a direct route. Rather than using the mechanisms of your own mind to subtract yourself from yourself. Rather than going from Western Christian historic associations into some sort of Eastern modality and attempting to find God in a mental, idealistic arrangement outside of you. What nonsense. This is a teaching to know yourself, isn't it? And you cannot know yourself by attempting to disassociate from what you have deemed the necessity to dissociate, but rather by including all of those thoughts in with what you are. Okay? That may be a little fearful for you. But remember, you're nothing but a bag of fear memory, as it is. Some of you have undergone premature awakenings that have been very fearful. Some of you have done it with drugs. It won't work. You can't find relief for this except in the total reassociation of your memories. Is it a glandular undertaking? Yes. It's associated directly with your whole bodily functions. I don't need to give that talk. If you want to go, and I've said this to the Manager Clinic or anywhere, and put yourself on an EEG machine now, and look at the brain waves that are the brave things that you're undergoing in your mind, they'll suggest that you get on Dilantin immediately. I guarantee you they will. You are storming in your own brain associations, and this has nothing to do with brain tumors or people that are telling me they're sick. This has to do with those of you who are having these experiences. Am I speaking from deep experience in this in my own awakening? Yes. Yes, very deep, of course. That's why I'm able to talk to you about it. Sure. So what have we done? We're going to come together and take all of these ideas about the separation and simply bring them into our whole physical awakening. Now, this will be on the same talk as I gave about the necessity of the admission that Jesus Christ wrote the Course in Miracles. It doesn't seem that they're connected, but I assure you that they are directly connected. You, individually, in your physical association, are undergoing a resurrection of your body-mind into wholeness. Okay. You have been contained within a dream in space-time that is being brought together specifically for you to bring about this metamorphosis. Okay. You are doing it at this time, in this place. Okay. You will accomplish it within this framework of your reality dream because that's all that there is. Okay. So be grateful. What am I going to do right now? What have we declared? We're going to take annihilation away from you. There's no death. Okay. Now, all the things that happen to you now will be applied to the certainty that God is with you and that there's nothing outside of you, apparently, that will not assist you in this endeavor if you will allow it to do so, because it's all part of your mind. Those mind associations are just waiting for you to tell you that it's okay. Okay, they're calling on you to say, Jesus says in the Course, Son of God, your creation, the winds bow down to you. There's some lovely sentences in the Course where it says they're waiting for your creative mind to declare itself in the certainty that you are, as God created you, that you are a home mind. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. I understand that it's one thing to say, don't be afraid, and it's another to find yourself in fear. I understand that you will undergo experiences of fear which are associated with death and loss of self. I encourage you when you come into those I'm going to tell you how I used to do it, to fall into the fear. Do not attempt to address the fear that's being presented to you. You have made it objective. Fall to the bottom of you. Okay. Father, into thy hands I command my spirit, and the fear will leave you. You are so accustomed in your own bottom associations of the conflictual association of your own mind that you've always heretofore refused simply to go to the very bottom of your association, which is nothing but death or the requirement of death to life. This has nothing to do with physical death in the sense that we're speaking of it. You understand, when I'm speaking of death, I'm speaking of death of the limited association, not particularly the death of the physical body. So what you're undergoing now is that death association to life. Okay, and that's what's happening to you. Don't be afraid. Will it come on you suddenly for no reason? It may. It may. Okay, just about the time, and it's always been this way with you, just about the time your ducks are in order. Okay? Listen, whappo. What? there is a requirement of the disassociation of the limited you in regard to this. Do you see that? Jesus says in the Course, he doesn't even hesitate. He says, every time you think you know, you will not learn. That's a direct sentence. Right. You have solved the problem of your associate mind, okay, and are holding yourself in that tension of space-time that keeps you from releasing to the wholeness of you. That's what time is. How long will you do that? How long, oh brother, will you do that? I don't know. But remember, this requires from you then a bottom association or a death experience. Does that include in your passion, Father, why hast thou forsaken me? Yes. Does that necessitate a dark night of the soul? I don't know. Does that necessitate a Gethsemane where everything seems to have deserted you? And yet you are in a determination to associate yourself with this salvation that apparently is something you can find outside of you. I don't know. How many times are you going to go through it? Okay. How many times are you going to replicate the action of the resurrection, of the crucifixion, which was the last useless thing that had to be done, that was done by Jesus Christ of Nazareth? He says that in the Course. That was the last useless thing that had to be done, and I did it. Yeah. Do not participate in your own resurrection, is all he really says, right? When he asks for help in the garden, does he get it? Nah. Why? God can't hear him. He goes off alone. He's sitting here, wants me to tell you guys know this stuff. And he says, well, God, I'd certainly appreciate it if you take this cup away from me. You know, I've gone this far with it. I've been working all these good miracles for you. I've done all these things. I've proven myself pretty well. And all of a sudden here, now give me a little hand and let's get through this. Absolute silence. His disciples have, what's happened to his disciples? They've fallen asleep. He's standing all alone with this awakened mind, no one to appreciate his crucifixion. Not God. Wait a minute, not his disciples. Yet he seeks somehow for gratification of that association. In the Course, this is caught as being in the cutting edge. This is caught as being right in the middle. The Holy Spirit then is, or a newly awakened Christ is described as, God doesn't know anything about him, okay, and his associates can't hear him. So he's caught in nothing for just a moment. I'm very experienced with this, guys. I'm looking around for somebody that can hear this. It doesn't do me any good to talk to God. I already know he knows that. And until you came along, I wasn't a savior. I just knew this wasn't real and was gone. You gave me the definition of a savior just as I give you one now. But that isn't necessarily the case. Anyway, it's physical, and when you know that, when these things begin to happen to you, you'll accept them as part of the atonement, won't you? Will that necessitate your withdrawing from society? Perhaps. Will that necessitate you reassociating in your social inclinations? I don't know. Remember this, that the action itself is not important. Everything is only of the mind. You that are undergoing this, remember that whatever you decide in your mind is how it will be. Okay? The mechanism is of the mind, not in the act itself. Okay? You can't really sacrifice in the sense of that I'm going to do this to get that result. The idea of doing it contains the result of it, doesn't it? Okay? You will experience phenomena, a lot of you. You will experience virtually everything in some of your awakenings in this reassociation of energy. We would encourage you to have that, but remember, finally, it's all nomina. It's all you. Can you walk on water? Sure. Can you levitate? Sure. May this be demonstrated, as Jesus says in the Course, as you'll be surprised by these things that are happening in your mind? Of course. But nothing compares with the surprise that's going on with you now. This is the suddenly awakening to the certainty of your own atonement, to your own Christhood, isn't it? Yeah. So, if the disease is real, treat it. When the consciousness in these groups, as you're teaching, says, what do we do with the murderers? What are we going to do with the incest? What are we going to do with the terrible things that are happening? Your response is put them in jail. Your response is counsel them and treat them. That consciousness has that identification in his mind. It's not going to avail you to direct him to some truth that he has no capacity to see. If you go out to teach this, they're going to demand to know from their own minds what are they supposed to do about these specific terrible things. They're going to have to use their judgment in the association and fall into the covenant of reciprocity. You're not going to teach that mind. He's demanding that you answer to his own satisfaction why there is sickness, pain, and death in the world. Okay? You must show him that he is the cause of it, but at that time he is not aware that he's the cause of it. He's demanding something. You guys that are advanced teachers are finding this out, aren't you? That San Jose tape's a good example of that. That will be necessary for you to test your spirit when you go out to try to teach the wholeness of your mind, isn't it? You're going to start tomorrow reading the Course in Miracles like it's the truth. Well, it is the truth. And the more you declare it to be the truth, the more you'll see it is true. And many of you have seen it as truth and have left and are gone. All right? That's okay. When I cover the physical aspects, it pulls this energy association down. But I know that some of you in this room are going to experience, and are experiencing now perhaps, a twinge or more than a twinge of fear in regard to what's happening to you. Okay, be assured that Christ himself, God himself, through this course, through this declaration, has come into your mind to tell you that it's okay. Okay. Treat the Course in Miracles as what it is. It's a divine revelatory reassociation of your mind, and it will become that. It will become that if you will allow it to be. Okay? Isn't that beautiful? You are becoming children of the light. Okay? The direction was then, having covered physical awakening, to read a little more from the Course. And chapter 1 is very nice, but with this rediscovery of the Course, you will have places that you really love to read. Okay? And you'll discover that you're carrying it with you more than you ever did, and now that you know that it's not going to threaten you, you really begin to become fully attuned to this declaration. So it's a marvelous, marvelous communicative association. Chapter 12. When you are weary, tired, and discouraged, remember you have hurt yourself. Your comforter will rest you, but you cannot. You do not know how. For if you did, you could never have grown weary. Unless you hurt yourself, you could never suffer in any way, for that is not God's will for his Son. Pain is not of him, for he knows no attack, and his peace surrounds you silently. God is very quiet, for there is no conflict in him. Conflict is the root of all evil, for being blind, it does not see whom it attacks. Yet it always attacks the Son of God, and the Son of God is you. You always attack yourself.
Wow. It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. Can you imagine? No, you can't. It's just the beginning. Wow, that's so great. Thank you so much for joining with me in this beautiful light that is available. That's so lovely. Thank you so much. Wow, so grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Wow. So, are you ready for more? Are you ready for more? Oh, yeah, we are. Okay, good. Here it is. Okay, let me try to get it together here. Okay, so the miracle. Oh, this is an interesting expression, the title. The miracle to you is death. Now, how do I get to a title like that? The miracle is not death, is it? No, to you it can be. If you don't know what it is, it can feel like it for a moment until it actually occurs, and then it's fine. So we're coming back to that. So let's start with this. And in fact, seems like we're going back into another, say, talk moment of session moment of Master Teacher, but actually it continues because there's no line in it. No, it's all the same light frequency. You can say it's like absolutely the same frequency. You will see. Obviously, the more that you will teach, you have this alternative. You have no alternative to this. Okay. Obviously, the more that you will teach, you have no alternative to this, the more you will come whole. Isn't that so? The same as what Master Teacher said in the talk that we listened to. The more you start to teach this, the stronger in, say, confidence you become, and the more you will see that it is so. Like literally, you have to demonstrate it. You have to say, apply this principle of honesty, the consistency in what you teach, the lesson that you do, the thoughts that are coming up, and the things that you say, they all come closer together. And then you come to the point, what I shared in the beginning is like, at a certain point, you're not able to respond humanly to any situation because you recognize in fact, the nothingness of that. Like you cannot participate in that the way that you're familiar with it. The way that you were familiar with it. So it starts to become odd to do the same thing. You can't do it any longer. Now this is interesting. So you have no alternative to this. Miracles make minds one in God. Like literally you remember your oneness. They depend on cooperation because the sonship is the sum of all that God created and therefore reflect the laws of eternity, not of time. Notice that it says reflect the laws of eternity. It isn't eternity itself. No, it reflects the laws of eternity, not of time. I'm gonna come back. So it's like I'm trying to convey something here in the sense of I recognize something that I can share at this point if I'm not losing it. When I say that, I mostly have lost it already. So the more you teach this, the more you'll see this. The more you practice this and exemplify it, the more it becomes real to you because there's only you going through this process and you see there's a unification of the sonship and that is you. So it's like an all-inclusive idea suddenly instead of an individual idea. Now when I say I cannot respond to situations anymore as a human being, it has to do with that too. It's like no matter what you would tell me, so this is in fact an invitation to joining with what I'm sharing. if you want to discuss this with me, for instance, if you want to discuss points out of this, then you're not harmonizing with it, but you're trying to understand it or do something humanly with it. And that's not bad. It is just that I cannot do that. So that's some in which I'm saying this are offended by it personally when I say this. Like, I'm not able to respond to this in a human way. There's no use for me to do that, because I want to invite you to add your joy to this discovery that we share together. Recognizing that we're one, I invite you to come and join, to add your joy to this, to bring your light to this, to recognize this as your own. If you don't recognize this as your own, stay put. It will change, because in fact, this is your way to that. This is the steps that you will have to take to come to the recognition of the wholeness of your mind, which is all there is. When you start to practice this, to teach this, demonstrate this, when you see that there's no alternative to this, you become it. That's literally what Master Teacher says in the thing that I shared before. So it's like, now I can say, like, well, I don't like to listen to Master Teacher. I think he's rude, he's this, he's that. I heard some bad stories about him, or who knows what you think. Like, that's all perfectly all right with me. If you see what is being offered here, like, it is like only asking you to add your joy to that. Not resisting it, not attacking it, not saying that's not my path, I don't know, I don't want to have anything to do with it. Perfectly all right. But you will come to it. You will recognize the wholeness of your mind at a certain point. You will come to the enlightenment or the resurrection of you. That's inevitable, that's going to happen. Now, you can delay that for another couple of lifetimes. You can delay that for another 20,000 years. Or who knows? Like, why would I care about that? If I recognize this as what came to me, where I added my joy to it and keep adding my joy to it, demonstrating it, letting that become whole in me, that's all that matters. That's all that's really taking place, you could say. It's like, that is exactly what is happening. And you recognize that, otherwise you wouldn't be here or wouldn't be watching it. You know there's something there for you. You might not fully grasp it, or you might, who knows what your consideration about yourself is. Well, stay right here. Like, there's more. There's continuously an offering of more. Now, the more you give to that, the more you will receive from that. The more you will start to recognize that. That is the whole thing. That's the whole process that is taking place. Like, it is about your trust in what's given, not anything else. It is about your honesty in demonstrating this, in being this, in seeing that there's no conflict. If you think and do and say the same thing, you could say, you recognize the wholeness of you in that, in your expression of it, in the way that your thoughts become calm when you actually stay with this, when you don't let yourself be distracted by any kind of other consideration. No matter what is being shared, no matter what anyone is telling you, see, that is a recognition of light and alignment and connection more than anything else. Notice, here's another notice. See, notice, you might have read over this. Notice, it says it is the bringing together of your conceptual thoughts into a total harmony, non-conflictual association. And this conflictual association was what time was. That was conflict. Time is conflict. You can say one step in time, you have a conflict. And you might not recognize that right away, but give it, let it happen. Let it be shown, so to speak. So in total harmony of non-conflictual association is where this is leading to. When the thoughts come together, when the opposites come together, you think from the eternal aspect. That is what you are doing with your whole minds, isn't it? It's like it suddenly comes from one point instead of from a duality. I think, no, it's singular what's happening here. Isn't that nice? Okay, so here's miracle principle 20. Miracles reawaken the awareness that the spirit, not the body, is the altar of truth. This is the recognition that leads to the healing power of the miracle. Now here's a thing. I misread this many times, but I've heard it now. Finally I heard this. So the body is not the altar of truth. But that's also not what the Bible states. Like the Bible, for instance, states the body is the temple. The body is the temple. But the altar is where the actual occurrence is of the recognition of your holiness. Like that is the altar. It is in the temple. It's not like in the body as you know it, as Joel would say. It's like it's not in the body as you know it, but it's a recognition of this place where truth is recognized. So this recognition that spirit and not the body is the altar of truth, this is the recognition that leads to the healing power of the miracle. This is, I am as God created me. This is, I am not a body. I'm free. I'm still whole. I'm in a dream. I will not look at this way. I have the power to change my mind through the relinquishment of my association, of this association. Like I'm actually able to see through it, the relinquishment of this association. This is, I am not a body, I'm free, I'm still as God created me, I'm whole, I'm in a dream. I will not look at this way. I have the power to change my mind through the relinquishment of this association. That's where the healing power lies. That's where the miracle happens. The relinquishment of you as an associative, mind. The relinquishment of all your ideas, of all your associations, of all your memories, for one moment. Give space for the miracle. Miracles are natural signs of forgiveness. Through miracles, you accept God's forgiveness by extending it to others. Forgiveness means giving before. It is a time idea. That I have given all before. I'm not holding on to a grievance and bringing it into the present. Therefore, everything I see is perfect unto itself. Do you see that? It cannot not be so. That is a miracle worker. Like everything I see is perfect unto itself. It might not look the way that I wanted it to look, but it is perfect unto itself. So by me not projecting an idea on the situation, say, putting my mark on the situation, in fact, say, creating a conflict for myself, I can stay out of conflict. No, everything is perfect unto itself, if I allow that to be. If I already have an idea about how the situation should be, I have a conflict. It's for free. I get it for free. It's all in the package, you could say. I have an idea how it should look. I have a conflict. I recognize that it's pure unto itself, I stay in peace of mind. You know what I'm saying? It's like that is exactly what I was sharing in the sense of I'm not able to respond in a human way anymore. Not that I don't want to, it's like, no, it is just not possible anymore to do it like that. Because I don't want to put my, say, my mark on the situation. I only want, say, that, what is real about it. I only want to give to it. I want to forgive the situation before I enter into it. Now I'm free to let it be the way it is. It might not be the way that I expected it to be, or the way that I thought it should be, or say reasonably thinking about it, it should look like that. No, none of these things, none of these memory associations that you normally use to project, none of that I want. It's like, no, I let this be pure unto itself. That is a miracle worker. Okay, so miracles are associated with fear only because of the belief. This is a miracle principle in the Course. So miracles are associated with fear only because of the belief that darkness can hide. You think that darkness can hide. That's why you're a bit afraid of the miracle. You actually think that you can get down in the darkness and keep yourself from being whole. So you use time for that. Like you use time to enter into darkness to keep yourself from being whole. Well, are you successful? No, of course not. You are whole. In your little nightmare dream, you can still experience that it was successful, but you can actually say, no, I failed at it completely. I'm still whole. No matter what I try to do, I cannot change myself in how I was created. No, I can change my mind about myself, thinking that I'm in darkness. Yes. So you are finally very afraid of the miracle because you think you can instruct yourself in your own limited definition of yourself. In that sense, the miracle to you is death. Why? It would be the loss of your perceptions. So here's a lot of goodies in there. A lot of goodies that you have heard many times. It's like how you have an idea about the situation, how you can manage this situation. No more. Admit your powerlessness over your behavior, over your ideas about the situation, and there's the change. Like admit that this is not solvable the way that you see it. And by allowing something else to occur, it dissolves. Like you don't have to enter into darkness to make it work. But if you believe you can, you do it. And because your mind has an idea about it, has a perception of the situation, you think that you know what's going on in that situation. You're locked in it and you're going to try to solve it. Your mind is engaged in solving this. Simple as that. And it will not stop until it's solved in its own way. And the result of that, well, look at your memories. It's like, did that really work out? Really? Okay, well, you can take another look at it, for sure. So this is great stuff. Anyway, so I'm continuing, but there are a lot of things in here. You believe that what your physical eyes cannot see does not exist. And this leads to a denial of spiritual sight. And doggone it, guys, Master Teacher says, all of the academic teachings are that if I can't see it perceptually, I won't believe it. That's academic teaching. That's academic research and all of this. The mind that does not question its perceptual associations, that is, does not demand to know where it came from, is simply going to continue to identify itself Yeah, within its own limitations. The miracle then is being denied by that consciousness. Okay, I'm skipping this one. So we continue to 23. Miracles rearrange perception and place all levels in true perspective. How is that possible? This is healing because sickness comes from confusing the levels. At any moment you think that you can die and hold on to the attention of being sick or separated from God. The release of that, even for a moment, is a maturation of your whole mind that is inevitable in the process of evolution. So that's literally like what we're practicing here. So there's like, as long as you believe that this any of this is real, that you know what's going on, that you have it already set what it is, so to speak, you give it a definition, you give it a diagnosis, you're locked into that situation for no reason. And yeah, you suffer the consequences of that, of thinking like that. So because you think that you can manage your own situations, you think that you know what's best for you, or see, the whole thing is based on a level confusion, as it's being said here. The place where you find the problem, the place where you actually are doing your diagnosis, the place where that actually occurs, whether that's in a doctor's room, whether that's in say, conversation with someone, whether that's being told to you in some kind of way, that is taking place in time. It seems like in time. You are perceiving that. But what can you tell me about what you see? What you see is the past. It's over. It's gone. It is taking place on a level, you could say, that already is gone. Now you're going to try to find a solution to the problem perceived in that level of perception. Is that going to be solved? No. It's impossible. How can the problem solve? By recognizing where you perceived it. Where did you perceive it? In time. In the past. I'm actually seeing something that's already gone, that's over. I'm seeing only the past. So, recognizing that, I stop trying to solve it. I open, like, okay, it has to come from somewhere else. I'm choosing the alternative in this instant and allow the miracle to come to me. Not any idea how that would look, but I'm open to receive that. And here's your open consciousness receiving the miracle. And that's happening right now. It's like, that was the only thing you need to hear. It's like it is like a thought. It's like, oh yeah, there's an alternative. Oh my God, I was so caught up in this description and in this diagnosis that I really thought something was wrong with me. Like, no, no, no. Like you cannot not be whole. So let also this situation be whole. You just let it be whole. Don't put your mark on it. Don't think that you already know what's going on or what the reason is why you do the things that you do. You have no idea. So this is what is given in this moment. It's like miracle work number 101. Here's where it all starts. So you cannot behave like a human being anymore. You cannot respond to that like that anymore if you want to give space to the miracle. But for you to give up your diagnosis or to give up what some science mind has told you can feel like death if you would not respond. It can feel like the death of you. That's why it's like the miracle is like death to you, because you literally have to crush something inside yourself, like the natural response to hang on to what is giving you as a diagnosis. Even it's like, I'd rather know what's going on with me, and thinking that that description will tell you who you are. You don't want to get the result of that. Like, there's no need to suffer through that. There's no need for you to have that. You literally perceived it in a place that is already over. Okay, so those who have ears hear. Like you can hear this, absolutely. It is only, are you willing to in fact allow this, yeah, so-called death to take place? Because it's not death, it's the death of your ideas, of your idea about how the situation should look like or how it should be, but that has nothing to do with anything. So let the situation be whole unto itself. And that is where all the love is and all the communication is going on. Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much for joining with me in this. It's amazing to share this with you. It's such a delight, I can't tell you. But I can radiate it to you. It's like, oh my God, it's so great. So thank you so much for joining, for being in this with me, adding your joy to this like you do. Incredible. Thank you so much.